There are horror films, and then there's The Thing. Released in 1982, John Carpenter's The Thing is one of the most chilling, claustrophobic, and mind-bending horror movies ever made. Set in the icy isolation of Antarctica, it's not just a movie about a monster. It's a story about paranoia, survival, and the terrifying question, who can you trust? But beneath all that frozen terror lies a production full of unbelievable stories, strange coincidences, and behind-the-scenes secrets that are just as eerie as the film itself. So grab your flamethrower, lock the doors, and get ready, because here are 15 weird facts about The Thing, 1982, you didn't know. The movie was originally hated. When The Thing hit theaters in 1982, audiences hated it. Critics called it vile, disgusting, and a waste of talent. The reason? It came out just 2 weeks after E.T. the Extraterrestrial, a movie about a friendly alien. Nobody wanted another alien flick, especially one this dark. Ironically, decades later, The Thing became a cult masterpiece, often ranked as one of the greatest horror films ever made. The studio thought it was too depressing. Universal Pictures nearly pulled the plug because executives thought Carpenter's version was too bleak and too nihilistic. They even asked for a happy ending, where the rescue team arrives and saves the survivors. Carpenter refused, saying the hopeless tone was essential, and that grim ending is now one of the film's most haunting elements. The blood test scene was almost cut. The most famous scene, the blood test, nearly didn't happen. Carpenter originally struggled to make it work logically. He reworked it several times, and even the special effects team didn't know how to pull it off. When they finally did, the shocking reveal stunned even the cast during filming. No wonder it's one of horror's most iconic moments. The monster wasn't just one creature. Unlike most horror movies, The Thing had no single creature design. Instead, special effects legend Rob Bottin created a shape-shifting nightmare that could look like anything. That meant every scene had a new monster form. Dog, spiderhead, tentacled blob, each built from scratch. Bottin's creativity was so extreme that he ended up hospitalized from exhaustion by the end of production. Rob Bottin was only 22 years old. It's hard to believe. But Bottin, the man behind those unforgettable effects, was just 22 years old when he made them. Working almost 7 days a week for over a year, he lived on set, barely slept, and constantly experimented with latex, gelatin, and animal organs to create living flesh. His dedication redefined practical effects in cinema forever. Stan Winston helped out, uncredited, when Bottin fell ill. Another FX master, Stan Winston of Predator and Jurassic Park fame, stepped in to finish one of the toughest sequences, the kennel scene. Winston refused on-screen credit because he didn't want to steal Bottin's spotlight, calling the young artist a genius. That's Hollywood respect right there. Kurt Russell almost blew himself up during the climactic explosion scene. Russell's character throws dynamite to destroy the alien, but the prop was real dynamite. When it detonated, Russell stood too close and the blast nearly knocked him off his feet. His stunned reaction in the movie isn't acting, it's real shock. They filmed in real cold to make the setting believable. The team shot many scenes inside a refrigerated set kept at below freezing temperatures. The actors' frosty breath and frozen beards, completely real. It helped the performances feel authentic, though the cast often complained about numb fingers and equipment freezing mid-take. The fire scene burned down the set. One of the film's most explosive moments, the final burning of the outpost, was shot last for a reason. They literally destroyed the entire set. The flames were so intense that the crew had to shoot quickly before the fire spread out of control. Once the camera stopped rolling, there was nothing left but ashes. Ennio Morricone's score was minimal, and misunderstood legendary composer Ennio Morricone, known for his epic Western scores, wrote haunting minimalist music for The Thing. Carpenter used only small fragments of it and added his own synthesizer touches. Critics at the time thought the score was too simple, but it later earned a nomination for Best Horror Score ever made. Day. Inspired a real scientific nickname because of its paranoia-filled story, scientists working in Antarctic research bases reportedly began calling new, unknown viruses things. Whenever equipment malfunctioned mysteriously or someone got sick, they'd joke, "It's the thing again." That's how deep the movie embedded itself in pop culture. The ending still has a hidden clue. Fans still debate whether MacReady or Childs is secretly the thing in the final scene. Carpenter has never given a straight answer, but cinematographer Dean Cundey once hinted that you can tell who's human by the light reflection in their eyes. One character lacks the eye glint, maybe revealing who the monster really is. A lost, stop-motion monster was deleted originally. There was supposed to be a massive, full-body stop-motion alien in the finale. Special effects artist Randy Cook built it and it was filmed, but Carpenter cut it entirely. He thought it looked too fake compared to the other effects. The footage is now lost, adding even more mystery to the thing's legacy. It's actually a remake. Many people forget that Carpenter's film is a remake of The Thing from Another World, 1951, itself based on the 1938 novella Who Goes There? By John W. Campbell Jr. Carpenter's version, however, was far more faithful to the original story, emphasizing paranoia and shape-shifting terror instead of a single monster. The Thing almost had a sequel in the 1980s. Universal considered a direct sequel soon after release, but because the movie bombed, it was canceled. In the early 2000s, a video game sequel was released, and it was actually canon, featuring new survivors who find MacReady's camp frozen in time. The game even ended with Kurt Russell's character showing up again, still alive. Maybe outro. The Thing may have been misunderstood when it first arrived, but over 40 years later, it stands as one of the greatest horror achievements ever made. A perfect mix of science fiction, psychological dread, and groundbreaking special effects. It's a movie that makes us question not just what's human, but what happens when fear itself becomes a monster. So next time you watch The Thing, remember, in Antarctica no one knows who's real. And no one can hear you scream total length 9,000 characters.